What's up, YouTube? What's up, Vaping Public? What's up, Tough Squad? Welcome back to another review for you, the Vaping Public. And today, we got 3 mods from Wismec and Jaybo. No, we're not going to be reviewing 3 mods, but it is a series. It started off with the Reuleaux DNA200 device, and with this one, it started a massive trend and an amazing mod that did extremely well. And now after this one, they came out with the RX200 version, as you see right here, that this one came out standard in a black version and a white and Tiffany blue version. It did well. It basically cut the price in half, or actually in a quarter almost, because the DNA200 version dropped at like 180. This one dropped at like 80 bucks. Now they nailed it down with that one, but they said, hey, we're going to take it a step further, and they did take it a step further. Now they released the new one, the RX200S, which has an improved screen. It uses a later and newer firmware completely designed for this mod, for this screen. And now, as of today of this review, there is even an updated firmware option for this device, and as well customizable options, so you can customize this mod just like you did for your RX200. And now let's go talk about this mod up close and compare the 3. I'll give you guys some information about each one, then we'll break this one down, unbox it, check it out, go over the mod, go over the differences between this one and the RX200, because there is a few, and that's about it, guys. Then we'll back up top, go back to FaceTime, talk about it, let you guys know where you can get one, and so forth like that. And what do I think of it? Pros, cons, and if it's something I think that you should go out and get. But let's do that, guys. Let's do that, guys. And let's do it now. Right there. Right now. Let's go. Peace. So here we are, guys, with the famous triple 18650 devices that came out from Wismec and Jaybo. If you guys don't know what these devices are or who them people are yet, you need to get from underneath your bed and go figure it out, because these mods right here are the ones that changed the game for the whole vaping industry, in my personal opinion, because now we have all kinds of mods being released following this style design and want to have the same impact as these devices did. These devices, I mean, came out at a great affordable price. They did the 200 watts. They did all the features as promised. There was multiple versions. You could customize them. All this great stuff happened with these devices very quickly. And overall, it was a solid device and very popular, very easy to use, a comfortable form factor, and it was unique at the time. There was no other device on the market that had this style shaping. And there was a device out there on the market that was a mass-produced mod that did take 3 18650s, but it wasn't as popular, it wasn't in demand, and it wasn't as great as these devices have been, not only for me, but for everyone else. So what we are going to do, we are going to check out the new one, which is this one, the RX200S by Wismec and Jaybo. We're going to unbox it, go over all the features and the differences and everything like that. And just so you guys know, this is, right here, this is the upgraded one of this one. This is the RX200. This is the RX200S. The one right here, this is the DNA200 version of this one. This was the first one released, and then after some issues between the two companies, Wismec and Jaybo and Evolve, they decided to come out with their own version that came out at literally half the cost, almost a quarter of the cost. You could have picked this up for like 80 bucks, and at the time this was like 180 bucks. So, and the cool thing about it is this one did everything this one did, but this one used Wismec's own board instead of the Evolve DNA200 board. But this one still performed well in temperature control, regular wattage mode, did 200 watts. Everything that this one did, but just used a different board. And you didn't have the eScribe software with this one. That was the big major difference, besides for the color options that these both did come in. This one came in, at the time it was released, 2 colors. This one only came in 1 color, which was a silver and gunmetal color, which actually later on, this one was released in the same color scheme originally. But we'll talk all about that. And before we get into that, let's push these to the side and let's check out the RX200S, and let's unbox this bad boy. Alright guys, so here we are with the Wismec Reuleaux RX200X. So this is the newest RX200 edition device that has hit the market, and man guys, I must tell you, I have been enjoying it and I have fallen in love with this device. But I will say right off the jump, if you have an RX200 already and you are happy with it, there isn't really no major reason to upgrade, besides for the one simple reason, if you want a larger screen, as you see here. That is the biggest difference between this one and the original RX200. They both use the same similar board, they're both the same device. Only other difference is this one comes in a different color, and when it was originally released, it was using its own firmware and board style settings as the RX200. When this one was released, the RX200S, this one had a firmware update that allowed it to reach 250 watts. This one came out only achieving 200 watts. But let's go ahead and unbox this bad boy, and I'll show you guys what you get inside this. Alright, and now before we go over the features, just let's check out the box real quick. As you see, as usual, we got the diagram of the mod, Wismec branding up top, and then on the bottom here you have what this device is, which is the RX200S Wismec Reuleaux RX200S, and I love that they have the figure notches. I absolutely love that. Their website, wismec.com. On the back it says the RX200, another innovative version of the Reuleaux series, still features the unique exterior design and variable temperature control function. In addition to the high power output of 200 watts, the improved 0.96 inch OLED screen, which presents all parameters more clearly, is a bright spot of the device. Also, the upgradable firmware will enable your device always to be up to date. Keep out of reach of children, and then it shows you what's included. Then you get a scratch and sniff code, designed in California, manufactured by Wismec, made in China, input voltage, all that good stuff, blah blah. And there you go, that's your packaging, guys. First thing you get in the box as soon as you take the lid off is your mod. It's the first thing you see. And as you guys see, you guys might be thinking like, hey, did he unbox the wrong device? This looks like the DNA200 version. And no, this is the RX200S. Wow, I can't even talk. And it used the same color style as the DNA200 Rulo. I don't know why they did that. I wish they didn't, but hey. But here you go, and that's what you get right out of the box, as you see here, and as you see that lovely screen. We are going to come back and go over the mod completely, but let's go over what else is in the box. Next, you get your standard micro USB cord for charging and firmware upgrades. This one does do internal charging through the micro USB port, but I don't recommend doing that. I recommend popping out your batteries from the back and placing them on an external charger, but they give you a micro USB cord, and this one works pretty good. This is a data cable as well, and it is pretty long, so there you go. You get a micro USB cable inside your box. Next, you get this little safety warning card. Please be careful not to use batteries with torn casings, as it is a safety hazard. Blah, blah, blah. That's pretty cool that they do enter this, just because this is a different device than your standard devices, as it takes 3 18650 cells. Last, you get this manual from Wismec and Jaybo. As you see, it's got Jaybo's logo, Wismec, RX200S, the user manual. And it just goes over all the features, shows you how everything's going to operate, gives you some little bit of specs and what other protections it offers and everything like that. So it's a pretty cool manual, and it does actually really include some great information that I do recommend you guys just at least briefly reading over it, just to learn the whole outsets of the device, because there is a few changes from the RX200 to the RX200S from how it controls, how you operate the menu, and all that good stuff. But now that we went over the contents of the box, let's check out the new RX200S. Alright guys, so as you see, here we are with the RX200S. I do not know why I'm having so much trouble saying that shit. On the bottom here, it's kind of light to read, but you have the RX200S, designed by Jaybo, manufactured by Wismec. You have some battery venting right here, right there, right there, and right there. On the side, you have your battery door panel. Some notches right here to help you take off your battery door panel. You have some more battery venting right here and right here. On the top, you have the Reuleaux logo. You have a screw right there if you want to disassemble the device. You have your 510 pin. It looks like it's the gold plated, same thing as the RX200, and it still is the same shitty 510 that we are used to with with Joytech and Wismec devices. It works, but some of people have experienced issues with the atomizers not sitting flush or it messing up over the time. So I will point that out. They did mention when they were releasing this that it was going to have a new and improved 510, but after checking it out and after speaking with some people, which I will include some photos that you will be seeing in about 10 seconds. As you see, the 510 connectors are exactly the same. There is no difference between these 510 connectors, but that's okay. It does work good, but I just wish for the quality of this device and how it performs, I wish they would have spent a little bit more money to improve this. But let's move on. Then you have what we are all used to, the Jaybo fire button. It does have his name inscribed into it, Jaybo. Then you have that beautiful 0.96 inch OLED screen. You have a nice faceplate right here. Then you have your positive and negative buttons, your up and down. Then you have your micro USB port for firmware upgrades and internal charging. Then, as I said, you have your back right here. You pop this off. And you have your sled, which is different from the RX200 as well. This one uses the same sled as the DNA200 Rulo that was first released from Jaybo and Wismec with the blue casing. You still have your negative, negative, positive, positive, and then positive, negative. So it still is in series. You have some nice spring-loaded negatives, which is great. I love that the negatives have the spring loaded instead of the positive and have to place your positive down on this. That is great. I do love that they did that. You have two magnets up here, two magnets down here, and then two magnets right there as well. So that's it for the actual rundown of the mod. The specs and everything of it are still the same. There is no difference. Now I am going to pull out the RX200 and we're going to hold it side by side just to point out the differences. Then we'll throw batteries in both and talk about both of these devices. Just to give you an idea real quick, if you guys don't remember, the RX200 box came in like this. Black or white. This was the black version. As you see, a solid standard box. It wasn't black like this. You open it up, you got your manual, your quick guide, then you got your little overview that shows you all over about the device, and then you actually have your RX200. Because my camera works better with white devices, we are going to use a different one. And here you go. Here is a RX200. And now, as of today, you can buy them with these customized plates. As you see here, this one is red with the white. But originally, when I got this one, this was white right here, and then a Tiffany blue color option right here, and it was their white version. But as you can see, it has a much smaller screen, no indent on the negative button or your minus button. Still have a micro USB port, still have a fire button, but this one is black with Jaybo's name. Still the same 510 as I showed you guys. As you see, there's been some use on this one because this has been my daily banger. Still have the RX logo right there. Battery venting. Same inscriptions on the bottom. battery venting, battery sled. As I mentioned, it is different, still in the same construction, but it is black and everything like that. Now to show them to you side by side. As you see, they are exactly the same. They just use a different firmware for each one of the devices, and they operate a little bit different as in controls and so forth. Now, let's check out the first series of this device, which was the DNA200 Rulo. And we'll go over this one real quick. I'm not going to go over the board or anything like that, but I just want to point this one out because this was the first device that Wismec and Jaybo released of this series, and it was powered by the Evolve DNA200 board, which is well known all over the vaping scene, and it is known for its great temp control and so forth. The main reason I want to point this one out, because if you guys can't tell already, they have very similar style boxing. The only difference is this says powered by DNA200, this says RX200S. So now let's pop this one out. In here you also get a micro USB cable and a manual going over the Evolve DNA200 chip. But now here is the device, and as you can see, this looks just like the RX200S, besides for this one uses a DNA200 chip, and this one uses Joyetech and Wismec's chip, and they have different screens. This one is smaller like the RX200, and this one is larger. And how these devices were released is like this. The DNA200 first, then I believe a month or so was the RX, and now just recently this year, halfway through beginning of summer, the RX200S was released. And as you can see, they all take advantage of the same 510. And the major thing about these is they also use the same sled that the RX200 version does not. The logo on the top on the RX200S is lighter than on the DNA, and the wording on the bottom is darker on the DNA200 than it is on the RX200S. But that's all I'm going to do about the DNA200 version. I'll have more about this device later on, but you guys know it. It's basically everything the device is, besides this one operates with a DNA200 chip. Now, let's talk about these two. As we did, we went over the whole rundown of the RX200S, and as you see it here. Now, before we get started, I am going to show you a picture of these two disassembled real quick, and the difference of the boards, which is absolutely nothing. Then after that picture, I will also show you the 510s again, which is absolutely no difference. So, let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, now as you guys see, this was how the menu looked on the RX200, and it was very simple. You had your battery indicator, your ohms, your applied voltage, your applied wattage, your up, your down, and it goes up by 0.1 increments unless you hold it, and then the accelerator will kick in and it'll go up by 1 watt increments, and then kick up faster all the way up to 250 watts. Alright, hit the fire button. You got no atomizer attached because we have no atomizer attached on there. To get into your menu, it's 1, 2, 3, wattage, temperature nickel, temperature titanium, temperature stainless steel, M1, M2, M3, and so forth. So we've seen the menu of this. We've went over this 100 times. I also have a video on how you can change and customize the plates, and also how to update your device to the latest firmware. Now, let's talk about the RX200S and go over how the board operates and everything like that, because the major difference between them two is they both use different firmware and software on the actual device. That is the major difference, and that they do not use the same firmware and software on each device. Alright, so let's check out the RX200S and the menu configuration now. So as you see here, we have our battery sled, which is different. As I said, this is the blue style one. Here's the RX200S. So you want to take your batteries, and you see negative up here, negative there, positive down, positive down. So you want to take your battery, place your negative side in first, push down, pop in. Place your back on the right way. Goes on just like so. And as you see, once you have your batteries installed, it is a tight fit. No noise, really. You hear a little bit of this. You see that little like gap up here, but that's about it. But I fixed that by just squeezing them down like so, and it works fine. But here is the new menu on the RX200S, and as you see, it is much brighter. I don't know if my camera's picking that up because of the contrast, but it is much brighter in person. It shows more information. You have your ohms down here, you have your amperage, you have your voltage, you have your watts, your current set watts, you have your battery percentage up here, and then you have what mode you are in, which I am currently in variable wattage. So how you actually go through the menu and everything like that with this one is the same way you would normally do it. It's 3 clicks. I had an atomizer on here because that's why we're having an issue. But we'll go ahead and screw the goon on here. And as you see, mine actually, I'm having no issues with it sitting flush or whatever, and it does make a great connection. You do get a puff counter right here as you are firing. And then it shows you your amps that you are using. And also your current resistance of your applied atomizer. So now to access your menu and to change your settings, you click your fire button, 1, 2, 3. And now you see that this is blinking. To then select in this mode, if you want to change the mode or go down to a different option, you see this button right here with the indent on it. You press that, which is your minus button. Wow. If you don't do it quick, it will time back out to your current resistant setting, current settings set. So 1, 2, 3. Now hit this button right here with the indent, which is your minus button. And as you see, that dropped me down to the other sections that I am able to modify or change to my options. So for the amperage, I can make this be my puff counter, which I've currently done 797 puffs. Or I can also have it to be the timer, how long I've been vaping on it, for 2,120 seconds. And then back to the amps. Then if I want to go to the next area I can modify, you just hit this one again. And then as you see, now my battery percentage is blinking because I can change this option from it being a percentage. Then by hitting your plus button, see, now it is a battery bar indicator. I can hit this again and it's back to the percentage, which I think is very cool. So now if I want to get back over to the variable wattage, I just hit this. So this button, your negative, is to swap through the different options that you can customize on your menu, and this one is to select it. When you get to the one that you want to change, you use this to select through the different options. So now let me access back into the menu. 1, 2, 3. Now I can go from temperature control nickel, temperature control titanium, temperature control stainless steel, TCR M1, and back to variable wattage. Now if you got your device powered all the way off, like as you see here, you can then click your fire button 20 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And as you see, it'll show your version. I am currently running version 4.0, which only allows me to achieve 200 watts. And if I am not mistaken, you can now upgrade this, and it now actually allows you to hit 250 watts. And then to get back out of this menu, you just hit your fire button, and you're back into your home screen where you can go do everything that you like. Alright guys, so you guys basically have seen the rundown of the mod, and that's what I mean by the mild changes, is just that how the menu operates is a little bit different, and it allows you to have a little bit more information on the screen to customize that and so forth. Also, how the buttons are actually operating now. It has the indent on the button like the DNA200 version and so forth. Has the much larger screen, and I like the way this menu is laid out better than the RX200 version, which is still a great mod. I still use this one, and there is really no big difference to change between the two unless you just want this big color screen. Now I will say, since this one has released, they now offer this device in different colors, and then you can also buy different plates. You can now buy this one in this color scheme that you see. Then you can buy it where this part is black and then this is red. Then you can buy it where this part right here is white and then this part is black. Then you can also buy it where this is black and this is blue. And then you can buy it where this is a Tiffany blue and then black on the outside as well. So that is pretty cool. Now, just to go over the specs with you guys real quick, it is 84 millimeters from right here to right here, from the top to the bottom, and it is 50 millimeters from here to here, and it is 40 millimeters from here, from this corner of the battery edge, from the outer edge of it to here. So, and then from this part to right here, it's on or off about 26 to 30 millimeters, because right there 29 to 30 millimeter atomizers have a little bit of a lip, but otherwise, I mean, this is a 24 millimeter atomizer, and as you see, it's getting close. So I would recommend anywhere around like 26 millimeter and smaller to not have any hangover and stuff like that. But as you see, the goon looks quite sexy on here, and I've had no issues overall. The specs of it are all still the same as the RX200. It still has the 510 spring-loaded thread. It does take the 3 18650 cells, recommended high amp high drain batteries. It has output mode of variable wattage, temper control, nickel, titanium, stainless steel, and it does TCR mode. The output wattage is from 1 watt to 200 watts straight out of the box. It does have a resistance range of a 0.05 ohm all the way up to a 1.5 ohm for temperature control modes. Now in variable wattage modes, you can fire all the way down to a 0.1 and go as high as 3.5 ohms for variable wattage. The temperature range is 100 degrees Celsius to 315 degrees Celsius, and then for Fahrenheit is 600 degrees Fahrenheit. Overall, that is your basics rundown of this mod, and I give it an overall thumbs up for it, and it's very affordable. Last, I do just want to confirm that there is a firmware update for this device, the RX200S, that allows it to be updated to version 4.10. And what this firmware actually allows you to do, what changes in it, is it allows the device to achieve then 250 watts like the RX200. That is currently running firmware 3.10 is the maximum firmware, is the current released firmware for the RX200. For this one, the current latest firmware is 4.10 and it allows you to achieve the 250 watts. And then also the screen display time is extended, making the device much more humanized and more user friendly. You can find out more information about this firmware update on wismec.com on their website and go under the information tab. Also, I will have a video, as I usually do, of how to update the devices, and we will do that again for this one as well. But with that, guys, I am comfortable with backing out, talking on it, vaping on it, and letting you guys know the pros, cons, and what do I think and where you can get one of these bad boys. But before we do that, let's line them up and check them out. So really, now let's look at them. This one right here came out and it was around like $160 to $180. This one came out and broke the market and made mods that were currently going for like $80 to like $120, $140, $160. They came out and dropped this one out. You could buy this at a vape shop for like $80, $90. You could buy it online for $60 at the time when this first came out, which changed the game. Then now this one came out and it's just basically improvements on this one, but it does run a different firmware, or we could call it a later firmware that is more up to date and more ready for this device due to the new screen and so forth. But otherwise, the board is actually still the same as the pictures that I've showed you. The 510s are still the same from this one to this one, and even this one. Now, the major difference with this one, this is a DNA200 device. We will be touching over this in a later video when I do a comparison of another DNA200 device that is similar style as these, that's made by a different company. But until then, we're only really checking out the RX200 and the RX200S. Now, let's back out and let's talk about this bad boy. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Up top. So we just did the up close. We just checked out. Not only did we check out the RX200S, we did a quick look at the original RX200 and the DNA200 Rulo. So we checked all three out, went over them, checked them out. I'll let you guys know the differences. And now we are going to have a vape on the new RX200S. I'm going to keep the goon on top. It is currently coming in at a 0.27 ohms. I have some stainless steel fused Claptons, dual core, 7 wraps. I'm rocking her at 93.2 watts, 5.2 volts. And what are we dripping on, Tough Luck? Well, you know what we dripping on. Some straight out the toaster right here. Good stuff, guys. You guys haven't tried this stuff, you guys need to. It is a strawberry strudel. It is a like a toaster strudel with vanilla cream and strawberry jam like drizzled on top, melted on top. And it is actually a very good e-liquid, and you get a lot for the money. So for like 50 bucks you get 240 mils, which is basically 2 120s. So you can't go wrong with this stuff, guys. It's pretty bad. It's pretty badass. Now, let's have a goddamn vape. Why don't we? So, RX200S. What do I think about it? Before we get into that, because I mentioned up close that the DNA200 device was actually the first one released, and a lot of people think the actual RX200 was released and then the DNA200 was released. And to be honest with you, I even thought so at first, because I first heard about the RX200 before I got the DNA200 version. I was actually sent the RX200 version first as well. But just to show you guys, if you go over to wismec.com, you can also find this information out yourself. And when you go there, all you have to do is go over to the information tab, and then if you scroll down to the bottom, they have dates for all their firmware updates, their news, and so forth. And on here you can find that, let's see, the DNA200 version was released on October 26, 2015, and then the RX200 version was released November 23rd, 2015, and then the RX200S was launched on 05/05/2016. So May 5th, 2016, this one was dropped and hit the market. And man, did this change up the game. When they released this and I seen some previews of it, some pictures of it, I was shocked. I was like, damn, I hope there's going to be some changes. But my biggest question and my biggest con, that's subjective with the whole thing of it, is why did they use the same style coloring for the original one that was released as the DNA200? I mean, all the way down to the same style boxing, to the same battery sled, and so forth. My only thing I can think of is that, if you guys don't know, Wismec and Evolve had a falling out after releasing this one because of the RX200 version, this one. Evolve said that they didn't give them permission to make this one, so then they released the RX200 version, and now Evolve is suing Wismec and so forth for saying that they stole their idea and temp control features and looked at the board and so forth. I don't really know the full details. You can check that up yourself. But I don't think we're going to be seeing any more Wismec and Jaybo collaborations with the Evolve DNA200 chip or the DNA75 chip that just recently dropped this year as well. But with that being said, there was some issues with that. So I guess instead of getting rid of this whole style as it was, like the DNA200 version did sell well, as did do very well too, but in my eyes, the RX200, everybody had one of these. Everybody loved it. It has great battery life, great power. It does temp control, and it does it very well. I even enjoy the temp control in this one now with the latest firmware almost as much as I enjoy temp control in a DNA200 device, not just only this one. I do enjoy that this mod was one of the first DNA200 devices that were mass produced in that style area that did come out with triple 18650s, could do the full 200 watts using 18650 battery cells. At the time, we were seeing more devices come out with the DNA200 board, but they were limited to 133 watts using 18650s because they were only using 2. And when you only use two 18650s, you couldn't achieve the full 200 watts according to the DNA200 board. But the LiPo boxes that use the DNA200 could. But that's not what this is about. It's about this guy. Now, let's talk pros and cons. Pros, I love the new screen. It is very big. It's very easy to read. I mean, check that out. I know the camera's making it mess up. I'll try to fix that when I'm doing it all. But, and I love that they allow you to customize how it looks on here. Like, you can choose between a battery bar or a percentage. I love the percentage. I love that you can see your real-time amperage, your applied voltage, your applied wattage. You can change your modes real easily just by clicking the button, 1, 2, 3, and then you can select it, what you want it to do, and so forth. It does still have your TCR mode. You can still set all your TCR up just like you can with like your cuboid and all that good stuff. This one is using a much newer firmware and software of the same style software and firmware we are used to seeing with the RX200, but it was designed mainly for this device and this setup, actually, as we see here. Now, another pro that I do really like about this device is because that they use the styling of this one. You have a much more firmer battery sled compared to like the RX200. The RX200 battery sled was great, nothing wrong with it. But with the DNA200 sled, I always noticed that my batteries are much more secure, tighter, and everything like that. Nothing falling out and so forth. Was a great connection, easy to see, all that good stuff. And I like that they had the imprint on the button to let you know which one was which. I like the little clear. I like that. Now, as of, let's see when, June 22nd, 2016, the RX200S is now available in other color options, and they even sell plates like they did for the RX200. As you see here, I have it customized. But as we know with the RX200, you could only get it in this white right here, or the black, as you've seen in the up close. It was in the box. You could get this part where it was black or white, and then you just had other options for these face plates where they had tons of colors. Purple, blue, black, orange, green, everything you could possibly want, they have for the plates. But with this one, they did something next level to stay with their name. And what they did is now they offer it in a black right here. For the lighter silver is now black, and you can get this with the black version with red plates, blue plates, and as well as stainless steel plates like this color. It looks like a gunmetal. So they have gray, red, black, and blue. And then you can get it in, you can then buy the device, which is black and red, white and black, black and blue, or cyan and blue, to where these colors right here, the lighter color, is actually a cyan Tiffany blue style color. And then you can also get it in where this is white, this is black, and now cyan. Pretty dope, I do think. So that'll allow you to do some matchy off the wall stuff. You'll be able to match your underwear to your mod. Dope. So overall, that is pretty damn cool. They did release the new firmware, as I mentioned in the up close, the 4.10. We will do a video of updating it. I actually haven't updated it because really the mod is great as it is right out the box. Now, another con I do have is the 510. I haven't had any issues, but it is a subjective con. Some people did have major issues with the 510, and at one point in time, Wismec even announced that the TFV4 sub-ohm tank by smoke would actually damage the device or something if you used it and would void your warranty and all that good stuff. Well, it's bullcrap. I use my TFV8, TFV4, all that stuff. It doesn't have an issue. My biggest thing I have found is that some of my atomizers that have a big protruding pin, like maybe even the Limitless RDTA, how it has a big protruding pin, might have a little gap at the bottom. But otherwise, most of them all sit flush, sit great on here, and make a solid connection. I haven't had any issues, and the battery life is great. I've ran this device, which has a larger screen, so it's using a little bit more battery life than this one. And I get great battery life, over 8 hours using this, as long as I'm under 100 watts. And I get great battery life, over 8 hours, stuff like that. Both the same. It's not using more power or anything like that. But it's also going to be subjective to how you vape. You could vape lower than me and get longer battery life, or you could vape higher than me and get lesser battery life. But it is a good, standard, solid mod that is affordable. You can pick this up over at VaporDNA.com, and you can get it for like 50 bucks, shipped to your door. Use coupon code DNA10 and get it even cheaper. Or you can use your Google Food skills and find it cheaper, guys. I just know VaporDNA. What else? eCiggity. There's plenty of different sites out there, guys. MyVaporStore.com. I have all these links down in the description where you can go check them out. And they all have different deals, different coupons going on at different times. So check one out if you guys are interested, or if you are interested in upgrading to the RX200S version. To me, I do like it. I do enjoy it. And now that they do have the customizable sections, I will be getting some plates and stuff like that. And it's the same way as we did it on this one. You remove this screw, that screw, this screw, and this screw. The plate will right here will come off. Your buttons, black buttons right here will come off, and that's so forth. The only difference is with the RX200S version, when this pops off, you will actually have a glass right here as well that you have to put back in as well, because it comes with a new setup to it, as you guys seen in the close-up picture that I did of the two boards when we dissected them. So that is the major differences between the two, guys. There isn't really any big difference besides that. Like I said, one has a DNA200 board, the first one. Then you have the RX200, which runs Wismec and Jaybo's own board designed for this device. And then you have the RX200S, which runs a newer board, runs a newer software firmware version of this board on here. So overall, I like it. I wish they would have gave it its own style, or kept it in the RX200 styling instead of the DNA200 Rulo styling. I think that would have been a little bit more better. Coming out with like maybe a new box completely, or a box like this, and moved it on, since it is an RX200S of this, not a DNA200S. That was my only big con about it. But otherwise, the mods do the same thing. It's just all going to be a preference thing if you want to upgrade because of that screen. And that's it, guys. And that's what I got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, be sure to smash that thumbs up button. Drop any comments. Drop a comment down below if you liked it, or you have any questions or so forth. And be sure to share this video and subscribe for future content, because guys, I got tons of stuff coming up for you. And be sure to check out the current reviews already posted on my channel, because we do have a couple giveaways going on. And check me out on Instagram at Vaping with Tough Luck. Always be sure to check me out on there, because I do post updates when a new video gets shared on here as well, because I know YouTube sometimes slacks on that. Remember, guys, as well, we need to be doing what we need to be doing to help save vaping, because in less than a month, August 8th is here. And if you guys don't know what that means, you guys need to stop watching these reviews and go over to august8th.org, notblowingsmoke.org, and CASA.org, and learn about what the FDA and our government here in the United States is trying to do to prevent us from being able to access life-saving and changing vaporizer devices, vaping devices, and destroy our industry from taking away our e-liquid, to taking away our devices that we all love and have found to help us quit the stinkies. Remember, that's what it's always been about, is quitting the stinkies. And that's what I got for you guys. RX200S, I'm rocking it with the goon, and I'm dripping on some one and only straight out the toaster. Alright guys, I'll wrap this shit up. See you guys next time.